And then I started to study philosophy, and then I realized actually Kant wrote about rather easy things, but he put it in very difficult way because he was German. Here is my goal today. I want to introduce his basic ideas about moral philosophy in a very short time, like we have half an hour, like 20 minutes now, and then we just go towards fine. Okay? So Kant looked at all philosophical problems in new ways. He opposed the two main philosophical movements in that time, like utilitarianism, who said that the goal of morality, the main target of moral philosophy is to be happy. Whatever I do, I reach my happiness, I got my happiness, and that's it. And then the second school was rationalists, like Leibniz, who said like the moral philosophy is decided by our rationality and the external factors, the factors from the world that we live. So Kant disagreed with both of them, and here I introduced, here is Immanuel Kant, by the way. Yeah, there's a guy. He introduced a very two basic principles, concepts, and one of these is a priori, which I need to sing in. A priori is something that we learn, that we have when we are born already. For example, the empirist like Hume, English philosopher, he said that when we're born, we're like, there's blank, right? White. So we can write down anything. So everything we learn from our experience. Kant said that no. He said that, for example, imagine there are two concepts that we have already when we are born. We didn't learn it, but we have. For example, time and space. Can you imagine like this thing without space? Anything without space? No, we cannot imagine. Can we imagine anything out of time? No. This bottle is now, this minute, or 5 minutes ago, or in an hour, it will be maybe different, maybe the same. So there is a priori and a posteriori. There is something that we learn after. And then we have another two concepts. It's going to be a little bit difficult now who didn't learn philosophy. Analytic proposition. What does it mean? Kant gave like four examples. All bachelors are unmarried, or all bodies take up space. Basically it's the same. We say bachelor, it means it's a married person. When it's body is something that has space, right? So and the other is synthetic propositions. For example, all bachelors are happy. I don't know if it's something, that's a question, or maybe not. Or all bodies have weight. For sure, we know that all bodies have weight, but weight is not a necessary predicate of the body. So in this case, experience of the body is required before its heaviness becomes clear. So synthetical propositions. There is something that tells us about the world. Kant claims there is something that provide new knowledge, but knowledge is not derived from our experience. For example, elementary mathematics, like arithmetic, right? He gave us an example: 5 plus 7 is equal to 12, right? We didn't learn, he claims, we didn't learn this from our experience, but it's something not a priori. So there's the one point. The other point, we're going to speak about necessity, right? 必要性, necessity. We know 3 kinds of necessity. One is logical. For example, all men should die. All men one day will die. All human die. I'm human, so I'm going to die one day. There is a logical necessity. The other necessity is a physical necessity. For example, imagine a container, and in the container is a gas. And if we increase the temperature, the pressure will increase too. That's a physical law. So there is both are necessities, but Kant speaks about another kind of necessity. There is a moral necessity. That he describes a universal principle, how all people ought to act in certain circumstances. For example, the moral necessity called the university law of freedom. Why necessity is freedom? Because it's not a logical necessity, it's not a physical necessity. For example, you give a promise, and you should keep it. But of course you should, but sometimes you don't. So some universal law of freedom, some laws of freedom are not always followed, although they should. So another concept, the will. What is will? Kant defines 2 types of will. One of these is called Wille in German, and in English it calls will with a big capital, but it's not comfortable to speak about like will with a big capital, so I just call it Wille in German. And then the other one is Willkür in German, which goes choice or will with a small capital. So there is 2 types of different will. Why? What is Willkür? For example, it is to deciding. It's kind of deciding to act. We select something from different alternatives. For example, today I came to wear the shirt. Or I decided to speak, to make a report like in this way, not in another way. So this something that reflects on my personal desire. It's very individualistic, and many of our acts are controlled or decided by willkür, by our personal preferences. So sometimes we have a conflict of our preferences, of our choices, intentions. And what is Wille? This also will in English, but it's different will. For example, consider the following example. All of you want to keep the peace in the world. Yeah? But what did you do for this? How do you act to keep the peace in the world? So it's something that kind of if you're commanding to yourself, like I want this